So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and start the recording. I don't want to waste you guys' time. I know we all have a ton of stuff to do and packing and goodbye, so I really want to get started on this. So I will record it, and anybody who jumps on late can catch the beginning of it later. So like I said, I'm going to do a screen share real quick. So give me 1 second to just share my screen here. Okay. All right, guys. So first of all, we love you guys. We love you, class of 2020. This is one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna try really hard not to cry, you guys. I'm so sorry. This is not how we expected to do our farewell orientation. So I thank you guys so much for getting on here last minute. I definitely wanted to be able to talk to you guys before you left, go over a couple of things, and be able to say goodbye, even though it's not the way that we thought it was going to be. So I just want you guys to all remember, it's not goodbye, it's see you later. I want to go through a little bit of a checklist for you guys. So their very first 2 slides are going to be a little boring, but this is kind of some of the important stuff. So before you guys go home, whether you're going home, some of you are going home Saturday, some of you are going home, a couple days after that. No matter when you are going home, these are the things we need you to do before you leave. So take some time to write a couple of nice notes to leave for, your host family, your IACs, your teachers, maybe your principal of your school, and you can give it to your host family or your IEC to hand on to your principal after, once school reopens and stuff. Any outstanding medical bills should be paid prior to returning home. So if you have gone to urgent care or a doctor at any time during this year, please make sure you've paid those bills. If you have not paid those bills, please figure something out with your host family that when those come in, that they're sending you a picture of it, but just know that that is your responsibility, you guys as the students. It is not your host family's responsibility to pay those bills. And host families that are on, if you get medical bills after the students leave, take a picture of them and send them to your IEC or myself, and we will get them to the student as well, but we will also make sure they are paid. It is absolutely not your responsibility if some sort of bill comes after these students leave. Students, make sure you check all of the rooms in your host family's home. Make sure you're not leaving things behind. Collect any personal items from friends, family members. Be sure to return any borrowed items from friends and family members. If you're leaving something behind for your host family to mail you later, maybe it didn't fit in your suitcase or something like that, please make sure you're leaving them money to mail that as well, because that can be very expensive to mail stuff back, and that is absolutely not something we want to put on our host families. Make sure that you guys close all accounts and memberships. So gym memberships, cell phone accounts, all that type of stuff. Most of you did like a pay-as-you-go cell phone, so it'll just fall off at the end of the month. But if you have one that's ongoing, make sure you've canceled it. Students, leave your bedroom and your bathroom the way you found it. Cleaning up after yourself is a great way to show your host family you appreciate them. Don't leave a mess. Don't leave a pile of trash. Don't leave a pile of stuff you don't need. And if you do have stuff that you can't fit in your suitcases, make sure you talk to your host families about either throwing it away or donating it, not just leaving it in there for them to deal with after you leave. This last item on the checklist doesn't 100% apply like it normally would, given the circumstances of you guys going home right now, but you do need to get a transcript from your school normally before you leave that's stamped with the school seal in case you need it when you return home. Under these circumstances of you guys going home, I would try to email the counselor at your school and see if they can get you something, potentially even if it's just via email for right now. And then your IEC or your host family, once things settle down and schools open back up, we can try to get you a more official transcript if you need it for your school. I know a lot of you guys have questions, especially our Italians and our Spanish students, about convalidation. I can't really answer that 100% for you right now. As of right now, the only country that has 100% said they are honoring convalidation is Norway. But we have been in contact with the governments for Spain, for Italy, because those are the 2 that have very strict convalidation rules, as well as our other countries. And I can't say with 100% certainty, as this whole situation is new to all of us and unknown, but we feel very confident that for the most part, your countries will be working with you on your convalidation and your credits going home. So if you have any questions though, after you get home, just let us know, and your IEC or myself or even your host family will do everything we can to make sure you get what you need. Once you get your flight information, a lot of you have asked me, when am I going to get my flight information? How do I get it? Some of you may have already gotten it. I've seen a few of them come through today. The goal is for all students to have a flight by tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening at the latest. We literally have EF staff members working until midnight tonight, and then again until midnight tomorrow night booking flights. We have 3,000 flights to book over the next 2 days, so just be patient with us, but you will get your flight emailed to you. Once it's emailed to you, you can see it in your MyEF, and the students can, and host families can see it in your hub. So you can just, that's another thing, is you may actually see it there before you see it in your email. So you can keep checking that as well to see if your flight has been booked. Once you go into MyEF or the hub, you can also download an e-ticket. And that on that e-ticket, it's going to have your confirmation number, and that's how you can check into your flight. Make sure you check into your flight. Make sure you check your flight the night before. Like, I can't promise you that this is going to go smoothly, and I hate to say that, but airports are a mess right now. Flights are getting canceled, unfortunately, sometimes. So definitely make sure you're checking the status the night before. I mean, I know we have a student that's supposed to leave tomorrow morning and her flight just got canceled. It was rescheduled, but that's my point in making sure you check it the night before. Hang on one second. I'm going to make sure everybody's muted again.
I'm sending them messages to mute.
Okay. Hang on. I think I can mute everybody from screen share. Yeah, if you guys don't mind muting yourselves, it's not letting me do it now that I'm on screen share. Oops. Hang on. I wasn't done with that one and I went to the next one. Okay. So once you get your flight information, make sure you check the baggage restrictions for your airline. Normally it's going to be one checked bag, one carry-on bag, one personal item like a backpack or a purse or a laptop bag. And then beyond that, you'll have to pay for extra baggage. It's usually cheaper to book an extra bag than it is to ship items home. So a couple of my students have said, hey, I'm just going to ship stuff home. You can do that if you want, but I guarantee you, unless you're shipping something small, it's going to cost you a couple $100. And most of the airlines will only charge you anywhere from like $70 to $100 for an extra bag. So definitely check your airline restrictions once you have your airline. When you get off this Zoom call, I want every single exchange student to go find their passport and make sure they have their passport. So hopefully you all know where your passports are. You definitely need that. So look for that right away if you're not sure.
Hope so.
Charge your cell phones, pack your charger in your carry-on, bring cash with you. Host families, maybe this is something you can kind of do for your student too or help them with. I highly suggest bringing snacks and food. Other coordinators and other students who have started traveling have been telling us that a lot of food places in these airports are closed. So there's not all of them, but it's a lot more limited. So it's probably not a terrible idea to bring some of your own snacks for while you're waiting in airports and stuff. And the less interaction you have with people anyways while you're at these airports, the better under these circumstances. Okay. In the event that you have any problems with your flight, I need you guys to save this phone number. I will also post it on our Facebook page. It's the EF Travel Support phone number, and we will pretty much be available 24/7 over the coming days with somebody on the on-call line, if nothing else. If your flight gets canceled though, your best bet is to call the airline. So if you're flying with Delta and your flight is canceled, call Delta because they are going to be the ones that are able to rebook you since they're the ones that canceled your flight. We really actually can't do much after our 24-hour window of booking your flight. So, but if they can't help you, definitely call us and we will do everything we can to help you with rebooking a canceled flight. And then if you do get a new flight or a new route, please screenshot or forward that new route to us so that we know your route going home. Okay. That last thing on this checklist doesn't really apply to you guys because this is normally for end of the year. If you've booked your own flight home, our travel support can't really help you with your flight, but we're booking all of your flights. So don't worry about that. That is under the circumstances, EF is booking every student's flight. Again, at the very end, if anyone has questions, I'll unmute everybody or you can put them in the comments as well and I can check the chat box here in a minute. Okay, so next, that's kind of just your checklist before you guys leave. The next thing I wanted to go over is some frequently asked questions that have come up in regards to this situation that we're in right now. This is obviously something we've never, ever dealt with. So I just, first of all, want to thank all of you guys for your patience, your understanding. I know this is not easy. It's not been easy for us. And I know it's not easy for you guys. So these are just some of the common questions that have come up today. Why is this happening so quickly? Based on the speed at which the situation is evolving with COVID-19 and our experience with booking flights, we believe now is the best opportunity to have students return home. Flight options are rapidly diminishing, and we've already seen airports no longer being served by airlines. We're seeing borders starting to close. We've realized this is a very fast turnaround, and this year is not ending as anyone anticipated. But after guidance and advice from the State Department and the CDC, this is the decision that has been encouraged for us to make for you guys, as well as, you know, heads of state around the globe are really encouraging all of their citizens to be home. So I know it's not something that we all understand fully or maybe can wrap our heads around, but unfortunately, it's just where we're at with that decision. If you have any further questions on that, feel free to reach out to your IEC. You can call me after this Zoom, or we can chat at the end if we have time. So I already kind of went over when you guys will receive your flight information. The earliest flights will be Saturday. So even if you don't have your flight information yet, you could potentially be leaving on Saturday. So you all should be starting to pack as if you're leaving on Saturday. Students will be leaving for the most part within the week. So like next Thursday or Friday at the absolute latest. Every country that you're flying to, every airport that you're flying to, that kind of plays into when you're leaving and what the availability is for your flights. I don't say this to be mean or to not even, I wish that we could accommodate things for people, but we can't give flight options with the circumstances of needing to get you guys home as quick as we can and having 3,000 students to fly home. There is no changing your flight once it's sent to you. Some of you filled out the extenuating circumstance form. Those will be replied to by tomorrow morning at the latest. That is one of the things they are working on this evening. But I will prepare you that unless there is a very safety health circumstance, and an example would be that a family member is infected with this virus, that's pretty much the only thing we are making an extension for at this time. So I can't get my student to the airport at the scheduled time. What should I do? Please reach out to your IEC, your RC, and we'll try to figure out either another host family or ourselves to help you with that, because we are not able to change flights once they're booked. And then we already talked about checking in online before the flight. So please make sure you guys do that so that you're not bumped from your flight and that you're also aware if there's a cancellation. My student's flight has been canceled. What do? I already went over that as well. Please just talk to the airline. Call them if it's the night before. Feel free to call your IEC or myself as well, and we can definitely give you advice on how to make sure you get rebooked. It's just the airline is going to be the one that can actually help you. The last flight leg for my student has been canceled. What do? So we need to get these kids out of the United States. So even if their last flight is canceled, the best option is to get them on their flight, call the airline, talk to them at the airport. They will most likely rebook them in flight or at the airport. If they do end up stranded somewhere, they can call us. If they end up stranded stateside, we have airport coordinators, IECs that are near every airport in the US, and we will figure it out if that happens. I'm not saying that's going to, I hope it doesn't, but I just want you guys to know that if it does, that's kind of where we're at with that. My student's flight has a long layover or many transfers. Is it possible to get a shorter flight or fewer transfers? Unfortunately, at this time, we are booking the best possible tickets we can get, and we don't have a ton of options, as a lot of airports and even flights are getting canceled. So we have very few options to work with. So we're doing the best we can. This shouldn't apply to us here in the Phoenix area, but another question that's come up is my student's not flying from my typical airport. Why? That's because of flight availability. but I don't foresee that being an issue for any of us here in Phoenix. This is normally for people in smaller towns. Luggage restrictions, check with your airline. Like I said, you'll have one checked, one carry-on. It's normally up to 50 pounds. One thing I want to point out is most of these airlines will not even allow you to go overweight. So they used to let you like pay the overweight fee. They're not going to let you do that. So if your bag is overweight, you need to take stuff out or put it in another bag. To check in online, just go to your airline's website. On your e-ticket is where you will have your confirmation number. It'll look something like this. UA is just United Airlines for this example. You're going to need the part after the slash. That's how you're going to check in online. If the flight does not load, you might need to combine your first and middle name in the first name box. So for example, if your name's John Robert, instead of putting John Robert as first and middle name, you're going to put it together in the first name box. A lot of airlines do that for some reason. So if it's giving you trouble checking in, that might be why. Host parents, if you want to check the status of your student's flight, I highly suggest the site flightaware.com. You just enter the airline and the flight number and you can track them all the way home. And then if you guys have questions, these are the phone numbers that you're going to need to save. I will post these on the Facebook page too, but if you want to screenshot this or write it down real quick, you can. If you're in the United States, you want to call the 1-800 number. If you are out of the United States when you have an issue, you're going to call this 617 number right here. Okay. All right. So that is it for the frequently asked questions section. Hang on. Let me just get out of this real quick. Okay. The last thing I kind of wanted to end with you guys was just some suggestions for closure. I mean, like I said, this is not how we anticipated ending our exchange year. We were supposed to have a big party in April with all of you guys. And normally you have a lot more time to say goodbye. So just some ideas. I suggest you and your host family sitting down as a family and either typing up or writing out all of your favorite memories, your funny stories, your first impressions of Arizona, of high school, of American food, and share these on our Facebook page, please. You guys, this too shall pass, and we really want to remember all the good things from your exchange year and try really hard not to focus on the negative of the pandemic cutting your exchange short. So share pictures and memories in your Facebook, your Instagram stories, put them on our Facebook page. We all as IECs, staff members are on our Facebook page. We really need something to look at too. This is not easy for us as well, and we would just love to focus on the positive of your exchange year. So I would love to see if you guys type up those memories or share pictures. We'd love to see that. It's not goodbye, it's see you later. Your American host family, as well as your IECs, will always welcome you back to Arizona. You guys have a second home in Arizona now, and just because you're leaving right now doesn't mean this is it forever. And I just want you guys to truly know that. Hang on one sec. Okay, there we go. So I am like, as you can see, probably even through some of this presentation, I love quotes. So how lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard, and just try to focus on that. And so I put this picture up from our camping trip that we had in the beginning of the year. Obviously, this is all of the Arizona kids, not just our region, but it's definitely one of my favorite memories with you guys. And I just want to read something to you guys really quick, and then we're going to pretty much just open this up for a few questions and answers. If you guys want to say hi to each other real quick, we can do that too. But I read something today, and I thought it was really applicable to you guys as exchange students and even to the host families. And I just edited it a little bit to be more about an exchange student. So it says, "Dear EF class of 2020, it's not supposed to be this way. As you head into the second semester of your exchange year, you're supposed to be preparing for prom with your friends, maybe finally going with that longtime crush. You're supposed to finally be taking your turn in the spotlight on the school musical stage or at the track stadium. Maybe you paid your deposit for your senior trip, and now that's all gone. It's not supposed to be this way, but it is. COVID-19 has robbed you of one of the greatest seasons of your young life, and oh, how I feel for you. I've cried tears over you guys, class of 2020. You're about to head home and step into the unknown or your next year of school or maybe adulthood, and it's like someone took the last 3 steps from the top of the staircase from you. Now there's a huge gaping hole between the step you were on and the platform you're going to. The missing steps were fun, and they were huge. Their absence is perhaps even greater than their physical presence. But still, as you look at the weird world around you right now, you can tell. You're going to be expected to make the leap, and it's scary, and it's not right, and it's reality. My advice for you, for a little while, maybe even just a few hours, turn your back to the chasm. Go back down a step to where it's a little safer and sit there. Dwell in your exchange year for a hot second and let yourself feel. Feel the grief, feel the unfairness, and feel the incredulity of it all. Like, what is even happening right now? Feel it, process it, embrace it. Something has been taken from you, and you need to be allowed to own that. And then, my loves, because we do love you all, do what only you can do. Turn back around and climb the steps again. Face the chasm and face the truth, this pandemic and this loss. It cannot take away your purpose. It cannot take away who you were created to be and what you were created to do. And if there is any group of multi-talented, resourceful, intelligent, caring, persistent, strong individuals who can take something horrible and bring good and light and determination out of it, I know it's you. So when you're ready, hold your breath, bend your knees, and take the leap forward. Jump the abyss that contains all that is lost and land steady on the platform of what's next. There are things that will need to be rebuilt later and stronger when this pandemic is over, and you, the EF class of 2020, may be on the cusp of adulthood to be the ones who do it. I know you were put here for such a time as this, and I believe in you. Your IECs and your host families and EF believes in you. We love you guys, and we will miss you guys. So that is all I have for you guys. If you guys want to turn your videos on, and I'm going to unmute all of you.
No.
But I would love to see everybody's videos.
We still turning their videos on.
And I'm going to try to take a picture of all of us.
It's not muted.
Mommy's very much.
So, where's everybody at? Can you, everybody who can, turn your videos on for us.
I think this is us, but
If you talk, it's
I don't know if I can get everybody in one picture. It's only letting me do like, I've got 2 pages. But I'm totally gonna Right. So everybody smile because I'm taking a picture of my computer.
I hate this.
Okay, wait, I gotta do one more because I couldn't get everybody in one screen. Smile one more time.
We couldn't hear you.
All right. All right, guys. If anybody has questions, I'm actually gonna mute everybody one more time. But you can unmute yourselves if you have a question. Or if you guys, anybody wants to say something, feel free to say something. But that is all we have. Does anybody have questions? Anybody want to say anything? Nothing? What?
Thank you, Angela, for holding this meeting. We really appreciate it. I know it's been crazy for you too.
Thank you. And you guys, I know I speak for all the IECs and all of EF. I truly thank you for your understanding and your patience through this. I don't know that there's a right or wrong answer to anything through this whole experience, and we're all just doing the best we can and taking it a day at a time. And we just care about you guys so much. And I hate to see you guys all go like this, but at least I love that we could all get together one more time, even if this is not how we normally do it. At least we were able to do it. So anything else though? Let's see. How is it going to be done with school when we get back to our home countries? Do we need to attend school like everybody else? That's a really good question. I highly suggest you reach out to your own schools regarding that. That is not something that is EF's decision. So when you go back, I would email your counselor at your own school and find out what they're going to require of you. I think for the most part, I think a lot of countries and schools are giving credit for your time here, but I can't guarantee that. That is absolutely up to your school and your country. Most of you, I don't think, have school in your country right now anyways. So are there any other questions?
Angela, can you post that letter or that story on Facebook so we can share it?
Yes, I will post that letter. I will post the phone numbers. I'll post the checklist as well. And I can post anything else you guys have questions on. So you might get a little, oh, did somebody else have a question?
Yeah, the Italians, can their parents pick them up at the airport? How is that going?
That is a very good question. I am pretty sure they can, but let me ask that question from somebody more knowledgeable on that, and I will post in the group tonight. But
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they can.
So
Okay.
I had a student that arrived in Italy this morning, and he flew into Rome. His parents wanted him to fly to Milan, so they bought him a separate ticket on their own and flew him to Milan, and then they picked him up at the airport in Milan. Now, Tommy's mom doesn't want him to fly any more than he has to, so once he lands in Rome, she's planning on picking him up there. But the one thing I would really like to do is have all the kids reach out to each other on Snapchat and maybe make a Snapchat group, because I'm gonna cry. Your strength is going to be something you'll look back on later in life, and you'll want to remember each other.
Yep. 100%.
Sorry.
You guys. Yeah.
So they're flying into Rome. I mean, your student flew into Rome.
Well, her student flew into Rome. They may not necessarily fly into Rome. It depends on what's closest to them. I would say Rome or Milan. It just depends on what she's closer to. They are trying to get students to smaller airports if they can. If they're running and operating, they will get you to your smaller airport.
Okay.
Okay.
Angie?
Angie, one thing I didn't hear you mention was like that they need to know that EF is available for them getting reacclimated to their countries. We usually go into reverse culture shock. They have been here almost a year.
Yeah, I wasn't going to dive too much into that, but I'll dive into it a little bit. Just under all the circumstances, things are very different. You guys are going to, typically when students go home at the very end of the year, they're going to go through reverse culture shock. You going home is going to be different than any other class we've ever had. A lot of you are going to go home and be quarantined. A lot of you are going to go home to, and also be going through some culture shock at the same time. But yes, 100% EF is there for you. We have ambassadors in all of our countries. We have staff members in all of our countries that are there for you guys when you get home as well. We are EF all the way. Your IECs are here for you always. Your host family is here for you always. So you can message us when you get home. I can't tell you how many students I typically have messaging me even after they go home, asking me questions, asking for tips about culture shock and so on and so forth. So we are 100% there for you guys.
So I have a question for the ones who have already had the Italians go.
Yeah.
Their parents can pick them up. Are they doing home quarantine or do they have to go?
Home quarantine.
Oh,
Yeah.
I spoke with Laura Sherwood today, and she did confirm that most students from Italy will fly into Rome and only Rome. And from there, parents have to make transportation plans from Rome back to each of their regions, as well as she said that once the students land, they are to self-quarantine at home for 14 days. And because Italy's government is really overloaded right now. So they don't have the capabilities to self-quarantine incoming Italian citizens. So they're just letting the citizens that are traveling back from the US back to Italy, they're just letting them self-quarantine at home.
Yeah.
But you do have to make transportation arrangements from Rome.
It does depend on what part of Italy you are from. If we are doing Milan as well. So it depends on which office those are the two.
Oh, well, Laura told me today that
Yeah, I think it's
was
that
flying into Rome and only Rome, as well as her dad confirmed it today that Rome is one of the very few airports that you can fly into internationally right now, because a lot of the other airports are shutting down, and that Rome is the biggest international airport in Italy that can handle all of the citizens.
That is true that it is the largest airport, yes. So if our Italian, you're all Italians, all students should have their flights by tomorrow. If there's any questions or concerns with your flight, like I said, we're not super flexible on it, unfortunately, under the circumstances. But if there is a huge problem, please let us know and we'll.
Right. So, I mean, with my understanding, you said that you're going to pay for, you guys are just worried about them getting off U.S. soil and into their country. So say she goes in, she flies into Rome, but she needs to be, she's closer to Milan. So,
I will look into that to be 100% on you. My understanding though is that we are getting them to the closest airport we can possibly get them to. If there are
Okay.
flights into that airport, we should be able to try and get them into that airport, but I will double check all of that for you. And like I said, you guys might even get your flights tonight. They are working until midnight booking flights tonight. So keep checking your email. Once you get it, forward it to your IEC. We're supposed to be copied on all the emails, but if we're not for any reason and you don't see us copied, forward it on to us as well. And if you have any questions, let us know.
And what I'll tell you is Tommy's stepmom, forgive me, she's a pharmacist there in Italy. Her friend came from another country into Italy. When she arrived, they took her temperature. The policeman escorted her to where she needed to be to start her journey, and basically said, just go straight home, don't stop. But they did allow her to travel via car through the country to get to her home, and she was just staying in her home.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm anticipating happening as well.
Yeah.
Is it possible for some of the students in Northern Italy to fly into Bologna versus Milan or versus Rome? Or will the students have to make according to Laura, once they get to Rome, transportation from there is on them?
Deborah, I think you're trying to talk, Deborah, but you're muted.
Yeah, that's been the case though. For instance, even when Sarah left,
Yeah.
they fly them into the largest, like they flew her into Rome. Her parents were responsible for the flight from Sardinia to Milan. I think
So
she
it
did
depends,
Milan.
whatever office you book through. So we have an office in Milan and we have an office in Rome. And those are typically, those are normally the main airports we work with. And that's the same thing for all you other countries as well. Normally, if you're from a smaller area, there are times where our students have to get to the bigger airport, and then they go from there. But I'm because this is so new to me, I've been doing this for 8 years, and obviously this is the first time ever, not even just in my 8 years, it's the first time this has all happened. So feel free to text me any specific questions and I will forward them on and get 100% answer for you guys by the morning as well. But one other thing I wanted to say before I forget too is I highly encourage the students to wear their EF class of 2020 shirts on the plane. I see Julia's wearing hers right now. The reason we encourage that is because as you're flying, you'll very easily know that there are other exchange students flying with you and be able to pinpoint them, maybe even from other states, but it just at least gives you somebody else that's flying home and traveling home with you. So just an idea to wear your EF class of 2020 shirts as you fly home.
Sig, you're
Julia's
hilarious.
been wearing hers since July.
Angela, did you read Sig's note?
Look at the bright side. We are making history right now. Yes.
It's all about go big or go home.
I know. I'm always putting a good spin on things, Sig. I love it. You guys, I know this isn't easy and this is very difficult, but it is very true. Making history. And, I've seen a lot of things even just for like high school seniors or students to be journaling during this time, because in, a couple years from now, to even 10, 20 years from now, when you guys are older, you're going to look back on this and this is going to be in the history books, you guys. This is crazy. So, but I hope that you guys will all come back at some point to Arizona. And if you do, reach out to your host family, reach out to your IECs, reach out to us. I hate that we don't get to say goodbye. So this kind of is our kind of goodbye here on this video for right now. But it's not goodbye, it's see you later. Yes, a couple of you are asking if I'm recording it. I am recording it. Those of you that missed the beginning, I will post it on the Facebook page. Are there going to be EF people at the airport in Phoenix to help us find our flights? Unfortunately, we are not allowed past security either. There will be, your host families will be taking you to the airport. If you guys have questions though, I will be available, and the 1-800 number will be available 24/7. But no, I'm sorry, they do not allow us in the airport past security to show you where your flight is. Max cannot wear his 2020 shirt anymore, it's too small. Football must have done that to him, huh? Any other questions? Feel free to unmute yourself if you have any other questions, or even if you just want to say something or say goodbye, anything. No? Nobody wants to say anything?
Just as like the high school representative, because I teach in school. Some things that I was able to look into today were transcripts and things like that. So even though we are out of school, your emails are going to be like the easiest way to get a hold of people. For students and host parents who are still on, you want to email your registrar and the assistant principal of academics.